Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Sheikh Fadlan. And Sheikh Fadlan hasn't said so, but he led the effort to develop an Islamic charter for the earth as we first conceived of it for more than 2 decades. So he, more than anybody else, is the father of this document, Al-Mizan, a covenant for the earth. Jazahullah khair. Well, as co-author, I'd like to offer you my reflections on the content of Al-Mizan, a covenant for the earth. We begin with an appraisal of the state of the earth. We approach the earth as a blessed creation of the Lord of all beings, who holds us to account for all we do in it. We reflect on the human legacy in light of global climate change and the loss of the Earth's biodiversity. And we seek to identify how, through abusing it, we humans have desacralized our understanding of it. And we try to, through this understanding, rediscover what we are. The second part, called Signs in the Cosmos and the Earth, we strive to articulate a cosmological understanding of the relationship between the Creator and creation, as well as humankind's relationship with both and our obligations to the Creator and the creation. An understanding that would enable us to see with clarity how we might make right what we have wronged. The cosmology of our faith is rooted in the recognition that all things in the heavens and the earth are signs of the Lord of all being, and that they support one another to the glory of the Lord of all, who holds human beings responsible to work good, salihat in Arabic, to work good in the earth, and to keep far from wreaking corruption and devastation, fasad in Arabic, in the earth. The third part of Al-Mizan is entitled The Ecological Ethos and Ethic of Islam. And in this part, we strive to clarify and articulate the essential ethical teachings and values of our faith, that they might motivate us to commit ourselves to the behavioral changes that are needed in keeping with the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad and all the prophets, upon them be peace and the blessing of God. The ethos and ethics of our faith are steeped in revering the Lord of all creation, taqwa in Arabic, revering the Lord of all creation in our treatment of every creature, and devotion to the Lord of all by working utmost good and beauty in all we do. The concept of ihsan, utmost good and beauty. And responding to the grace of the all-merciful that encompasses all things through compassion, compassion that sets no limits. The fourth part of Al-Mizan is entitled Equity, Fairness, and Justice in Sharing the Sources of Life. And here we review the crisis afflicting life on Earth through the prism of political economy. And we seek to discover what elements of the Islamic heritage of equitably sharing the benefits of the sources of life on Earth, which economists call natural resources, how this might help us to address the inequities and to realize a more sustainable approach to living a good life without compromising the ability of other species and of future generations to meet their own needs. The economic values of our faith are embodied in frugal moderation while taking joy in the sources of life for humankind and other living beings, respecting the inherent limits of these sources, and by forsaking wasteful excess for just, equitable sharing of their fruits, and forsaking exploitation of the earth and its inhabitants for cultivation of the earth and charity toward all. The fifth and last part is the principles and practices for tending the earth. In this part, we seek to identify the most essential aspects of our faith tradition with respect to legislation, regulations, conservation practices, policies, and activism, so that we might begin to take the actions needed to restore this balance, this equilibrium, al-mizan, that we have violated. And in this section also, we call on humankind to recognize that ecocide is one of the most abominable crimes. The law of our faith and the policies and practices derived from it aim to secure the rights and the welfare of all things, to secure good and avert harm, evil, and to realize the human responsibility known as khilafah on the earth.